Today's Fixed Gear Q&A, we'll talk about brakeless riding, some of my tips for bike commuting and getting used to riding in traffic, as well as my thoughts on SKREAM bikes, plus more coming up. For steel bikes that weigh well under 20 pounds or 9 kilograms that you can customize to be your dream bike right out of the box, consider checking out Wabi Cycles linked at the top of the description. What's up, I'm Zach Gallardo. Life is short, but don't make it shorter, so ride your bike every day to be reasonably dangerous, and subscribe for more fixed gear videos just like this one. Today we'll be talking about a few parts. You can feel free to check those out linked in the description at any time during this video. Think about the laws that say something about brakes on bikes. More broadly speaking, I think laws in general are good for society. How strictly they are followed, though, should depend on how strictly they are enforced. For instance, in California, it's technically illegal to ride your brakeless fixed gear, but since the police don't really enforce it, people do it anyway. But in Japan, it's required that bikes have both a front and a rear brake, and the police enforce it very strictly. I'm comfortable riding brakeless in California, but I wouldn't think twice about riding brakeless in Japan, because I ain't trying to get a ticket. It's a good thing that we have brake laws. It keeps both the rider and the other people using the road a lot safer. Experienced fixed gear riders that are really confident riding brakeless and can do so safely are a small minority. It is a bit unfortunate that in some places we're not allowed to do what we want and ride brakeless, but that doesn't mean that we are exempt from the law. For every person that can ride brakeless safely, there's a whole lot of other people that are riding brakeless that really shouldn't be. I ride brakeless from time to time, but if you choose to ride brakeless, know what you're getting into and know the risk that you're taking in terms of safety and in terms of running into problems with the law. If you want to join the brakeless discussion, you can check out my case for brakeless fixed gear bikes after watching this one. How often do you ride off-road? Thoughts on fixed gravel? I don't really do off-road rides per se, but if I see a patch of gravel or a dirt trail that I want to take, I'll take it even if I'm on a fixed gear bike. Gravel riding is cool. Fixed gear is my favorite type of cycling, so if you combine the two, theoretically, it should be awesome. I've done a bit of gravel fixed gear riding, and if it sounds like it might be up your alley, I say go for it. Can a good fixed gear bike frame withstand bad road conditions? Here in Bangladesh, our roads are extremely bad. It depends on what you're able to tolerate as a cyclist. Of course, a fixed gear bike is not going to be ideal for really bad road conditions because of the nature of fixed gear bikes. They have really steep angles, and a lot of times they have small tire clearance, which will lead to a bumpy and jolting ride. I don't recommend using an aluminum frame or something with a carbon fork because those materials can't take a beating nearly as well as steel. A steel fixed gear frame should be able to hold up even on really bad roads. It's just a matter of how comfortable you are. Look for a steel fixed gear frame where you can fit 35 to 40 plus C tires, and that should really help smoothen out the ride even if the roads are really bad. But if they're extremely bad, then something like a suspension mountain bike would suit you even better. But if you want to ride fixed gear, it is totally possible. Thoughts on conversions? A lot of elitists in the fixed gear world like to rag on conversions because they're not true track bikes or whatever, but I think that they're awesome. They're a really affordable way to get into fixed gear riding. Oftentimes, you get a lot of bike for the money. As long as it helps you get on a bike and to love cycling, I think they're awesome. 26.0 versus 31.8 millimeter stems and bars. Why is 31.8 becoming more popular? With all else being equal between 26.0 and 31.8, 26.0 is theoretically lighter while being less stiff, whereas 31.8 is the opposite, more stiff while having a little extra weight. 31.8 is becoming more popular because people tend to like stiffer front ends. And with advances in our cycling componentry, the weight disadvantage is irrelevant at this point. My thoughts on the matter though, I don't have a preference. I can definitely feel the difference switching directly between 31.8 and 26.0, but after about an hour of riding, the difference is negligible to me and I don't really care. Have you ever had someone in a car rage at you while you were riding your bike? Yes, about once every 2 weeks or so. These people will honk, give me the finger, they'll yell things out their window that I can't understand, or they'll pass me while speeding by really close to me. My dad though probably has had some of the worst luck with road ragers. He's had things thrown at him on multiple occasions, like rolls of toilet paper. Most recently, he was just biking through a park similar to this. He's biking on a narrow pathway and a guy was coming at him at the opposite direction. And the guy was trying to juke him and mess with them and do who knows what. The best thing, and really the only thing that you can do with road ragers, is to ignore them and to just carry on with your day, because if you start thinking about them and carrying that weight with you, that means the road rager wins. Some people just absolutely hate cyclists and there's no reasoning with them, and sometimes you come across them and all you can do is ignore them. So just keep riding your bike and having fun. How to get rid of anxiety from riding in the road. Firstly, if you're in the beginning stages of cycling, having anxiety while riding in the road is totally normal. It's nerve-wracking being next to these 3,000-pound vehicles that can kill you just with the slight move of the wrist. Although we just talked about road ragers, they are few and far between. And most people out on the road respect cyclists and actually don't want to hurt you. Most people that I've come across are very courteous. They pass at a reasonable speed. They give me a lot of space when they pass. Often they forfeit the right of way to let me go on my merry way. I'm not gonna lie, it's possible that you could get seriously hurt while riding your bike in the street, but it's also very unlikely. You should be afraid of riding in a car as much as you are afraid of riding in the street. Another source of anxiety is just not being used to being in close proximity to cars. Everywhere is different, and some places will give you more space than others. Even for me, I'm very comfortable riding in the street in the US, but coming here to Taiwan where it's much more densely packed and people like to rub shoulders sometimes when they pass, it can be very nerve-wracking. But the best way that I've found to overcome that anxiety and to become used to this norm is to just slow down and breathe. Just take a deep breath, know that I'm in control, and breathe. That helps to reduce my anxiety so I can get out on the streets more, ride them more often, and just become used to riding in extremely close proximity to cars. The best way to overcome that anxiety is to expose yourself to it by riding in the street on a normal basis. I recommend very carefully planning your routes, and if you're going to ride in the street, first only ride on streets that have bike lanes. And then once you're comfortable with riding in the bike lanes, then you can move on to streets with slower moving traffic that don't have bike lanes. And then once you're comfortable with that, you can ride with the flow of traffic, draft off of cars in busy city centers. And at that point, you'll really be loving cycling. Earphones or portable speaker. I personally use wireless over-the-ear headphones. I use Cosport Pro wireless headphones. They have a really good sound quality, and because they're open back, I can blast the music pretty loudly and still be able to hear what's around me. With that said, I don't recommend ever using headphones while you're out in the streets. Portable speakers, on the other hand, aren't really my thing because I like to be courteous. Just because I like my music doesn't mean everybody within a half-mile radius likes my music. Anything has noise canceling capabilities, I really don't recommend using those because your hearing is such an important tool to stay safe when you're riding your bike, and inhibiting that is not a smart idea. Bike jobs for teenagers. I remember being a teenager and trying to get a job. It didn't work well. That's the catch-22 of getting a job. You need experience to get a job, but you need a job to get experience. And if you want something in the bike industry, you're not going to get a job unless you have a connection with somebody in the bike industry. And the best way to do that is to volunteer at a bike co-op or even at a bike shop. Say that you'll be their unpaid intern, which they will love to hear. That way you can get experience and get to know people at the same time. Generally speaking, people would rather hire an underqualified candidate that they know rather than an overqualified candidate that they don't know. It's not about what you know, it's about who you know. So look for ways to get to know people in the bike industry if you want a bike job. I'm doing a 2,000 kilometer tour on my Wabi Classic. Firstly, that's awesome. What's your setup as you tour through Asia, and how do you like it in terms of storage, handling, etc.? I'm doing an extremely light setup. All I have is my bike and my messenger bag. I used to have a front basket, but I actually decided to get rid of it because I didn't really need it. The black chrome Citizen messenger bag is enough. That's because I'm not really biking from city to city a whole lot, and I'm not doing it hobo style by packing tents and cooking equipment in all of my clothes. The way that I do bike touring is very light. I just pack a few clothes and my camera equipment, throw it all in my messenger bag, and then go between cities, while leaving the rest of my stuff at a home base. I will be making a more in-depth video about my setup and all of the gear that I brought with me to Asia very soon. Gloves or no gloves? No gloves, because why? If you have grips or bar tape, I really don't see the point of cycling gloves. Thoughts on SKREAM Bikes? This is SKREAM's about page on their website. SKREAM Bikes is a new product line from Brakeless Studio, Hong Kong. Established by 3 passionate skateboarders, the new brand hopes to incorporate every element of street styles into our bike products. Our team places emphasis on aestheticism and geometry of our designs, while maintaining the practicality of our products. By designing, manufacturing, and distributing bicycle products as masterpieces, that's a bit much. So just from a cursory look at their bikes and reading their about page, they seem like they're a bit too hype for me. They care about looks and image and being cool, and about what other people think a little bit too much for me. They have mid-range aluminum frames that look cool, and for a lot of people, that's good enough. I'm not knocking them, it's just not for me. I'm much more so a no BS, simple, get it done kind of guy. And SKREAM looks to be the opposite of that. Regardless of my personal opinion about SKREAM, I think more bike companies making track bikes and more competition is a good thing for us. But speaking of no BS, simple and elegant bikes, our channel sponsor, Wabi Cycles, is the epitome of what makes cycling fun. Every one of Wabi's design choices are meticulously made to give you the purest ride quality for the money. And Wabi executes those choices perfectly with master craftsmen right here in Taiwan, and a friendly bike shop in Denver, Colorado that is eager to answer your questions and get you on a bike that you'll love. This amounts to efficient, elegant, and timeless bikes that you can get from a passionate group of fellow cyclists. Wabi's relentless attention to detail results in Wallace, my 58-centimeter Wabi Special, weighing in at 17.5 pounds or 7.97 kilograms straight out of the box. That's well under 20 pounds for a completely steel, lugged frame set that has no carbon components. That weight isn't just for quoting and impressing other cyclists though. It results in the best riding experience that I've ever had on a bike, with a snappy, responsive, and lively bike that only top shelf steel can bring. That pure fun makes it easy for me to ride Wallace, my Wabi Special, as my only bike as I travel throughout Asia. So if you're looking for the bike that could very well put an end to your search for the perfect bike, consider checking out Wabi Cycles, linked at the top of the description, because it really is the closest thing that I've ridden to the perfect bike. Thank you for watching this video, and remember to give it a thumbs up if you liked it, or a thumbs down if you think it sucked. And remember to hit the subscribe button to watch more fixed gear videos just like this one. Be sure to look out for the post on YouTube towards the end of every month where you can ask your fixed gear question to be answered in the fixed gear Q&A. Stop watching me right now if you haven't ridden your bike yet today, because life is short, but don't make it shorter. So ride your bike every day to be reasonably dangerous.